In the land before time, there was the Bionicle. And in the land before Bionicle, there was that guy. At the time of its release, the Bionicle were some of the greatest heroes in a person's childhood. Not me, though. I was one. And then came the time before Vakama was a buff man. I still didn't experience these toys because I was 4. But I saw the movie. It was pretty good. It was not bad for a kid's movie. Probably the best of the 3. They even made a sequel where it was Beast Machines, but actually good. So now I'm gonna review these guys, because everyone talks about these ones, but these ones are called the best, and that's pretty much the intro. Snack Cunt here. It's back with another series that I'm introducing into the channel. There's already 3 series that I've covered so far. I like Transformers because there's basically an infinite amount of characters to attach myself to, and even the ones that I don't give a fuck about, they probably have something else about them that's at least enjoyable, mostly the transformation. There's the Mini-Mates, which is kind of a new thing that I got attached to, but basically they're Lego minifigures, which everyone already seems to like, but better in pretty much every single way. And of course, I also like Godzilla, because I'm a Transformers fan. Why the fuck wouldn't I like Godzilla? And just like how I obviously like Godzilla, I obviously also like Bionicle. It's kind of strange, but this is a series that was made up entirely by Lego, a company that usually takes other licensed stuff, and I know that they also have non-licensed things they did before this, but they usually weren't good, except for Space Police. That was fucking awesome. And it's like one of the greatest stories ever, and it's not even really that much like normal Lego, but it just happens to be one of the coolest stories ever made in fiction. They also look pretty cool too. So yeah, this is the 4th series that I, a nearly 23-year-old man, spends way too much money on. Bionicle. Though actually, this is my only Bionicle set, and I got this a long time ago. Bionicle is not a series that I have autistically spent way too much money on. Yet. I'm probably gonna go back and get the Tawamata and the Tawamari. Well, maybe not Holly, but, you know. I mean, before I started this review channel, Minimates was something I only had a minor passion for, but then all of a sudden I was just like, I like Minimates now, and now I have an entire bin full of the fucking things. Seriously, why do I have this? I don't need this. So who's to say that by the end of this channel's lifespan, I won't have a mint in box 2007 Mari Holly. So this is the Toa Metru. This is usually considered to be the best of the entire series, the nearly perfect set. I wouldn't say it's nearly perfect, but hey, you know what? I grew up with a movie and it was pretty good. If you're 5. But I mean, I just rewatched it. For a kid's movie, it's okay. But because of that, and the fact that that was basically my introduction to Bionicle, they're the ones that I have the most attachment for, so the series that I liked the most as a kid that also has the considered best wave? Hell yeah, it was an easy purchase. My older brother has the Toa Mata, his friend had the Toa Nuva, and I have the Toa Metru. I shudder to think who collected the Toa Hordica. Ugh. So, we have Vakama, Nokama, Matau, Onewa, Whenua, and Nuju. And we're going to take a look at these each individually, but I'm probably just going to focus on one figure and then point out the little details afterwards. So let's start with everyone's favorite character. Well, not him, but...
Hurry, Vakama.
Come back! Oh!
So first we start off with Vakama, the Everyman. Well, if the Everyman was a person who was so fucking depressed that they need to have 200 milligrams of dick-killing antidepressants to function as a normal human being, well, actually, that's probably people now, so... Yeah, the Everyman! I hear a lot of people say that they found Vakama kind of insufferable as a kid, but relate to him now. And I think in concept he's a cool character, but there's just a little bit of a problem.
I told you. I'm a cross-wired freak. Chasing my dreams, wasting everyone's time. I'll never be a real Toa.
The writing, it's not very good. And it's also kind of weird that you have someone who looks this fucking cool to be kind of a baby.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you consider the fact that they had to redesign every character for the movie so they don't look like lifeless robots.
And don't give me those puppy dog eyes.
I'm a cross-eyed
Would you like to hear a fun fact? You know who voiced Tahu in the first movie?
Tahu! Chronicler! Sightseeing, were ya?
Yeah, Scott McNeil. And do you want to know who voiced this guy?
Get your stinking paws off me, you big, dirty ape.
Whoa. Yeah, it was him. And doesn't life just make so much more sense now? Now just imagine Scott McNeil's voice coming out of Tahu Mystica. This is a good opportunity to talk about the build of the Toa Metru. I quite like it. You see, I think the funny thing with Bionicle is that the more advanced the function and the design of the body gets, and the more articulation they receive, the dumber and dumber they look. There are 3 exceptions to this. 2009, which is so far removed from what you'd expect with Bionicle that it's more of a side thing than a main course. 2007, which has that as a problem. And this wave, which for the most part is actually really good. Not only does it have a lot of nice detail and overall have a really cool aura to it, but the articulation is pretty nice. That mask detail makes him look like a stormtrooper, but a lot cooler. I think it might be one of my favorites of the group, even though I think there's one more dude that looks a little cooler than him. It's probably my favorite of the designs at this point. The red, the gray, and the overall aesthetic just looks really cool. And also the fact that he's kind of got this jetpack thing because, well, every Toa has their signature weapon, and he has, well, not a gun like a sensible person, but it's a disc launcher. I got this pretty much complete, but I don't have the disc launcher anymore because I'm a dumbass. And it worked pretty much well. I don't know if I have this upside down, but you just squeeze it and it shoots. Pretty effective. But if you don't have the disc, it's kind of useless. I guess that brings us to articulation, because, well, the original dudes, they weren't very good. They didn't even have head articulation, whereas these guys have good articulation in almost every single joint. He has a ball joint in the head, which is actually better than some of the figures we get nowadays, which a nice left and right, up and down, side to side. He has a nice ball joint in the elbow, which can act as a swivel, and also can bend backwards. I don't know why you want to do that. A ball joint in the wrist, crazy. No waist articulation, but I mean, it's fine. Look at this. Do you expect the waist swivel from this? I guess if you remove some of these pins, you can get like a side to side, but don't be a sociopath. He has a ball joint that lets his legs go up that far and back that far. Oh boy. He also has a... Oh jeez. He has a ball joint in the knee, but because of how they plug together, you're not going to get too much of a swivel. It's mostly just for a bend. So no thigh swivel, but because of how the legs work, it doesn't really matter. You can basically get a thigh swivel unless you want to do that. You twist that. Why would you do that? And a fantastic ball joint at the ankle, which can go forward and back, side to side, and a swivel. And this is the widest stance with both feet flat on the floor. And you know what? For the fact that ankle articulation is pretty new by today's standards, not bad. But there is one joint I haven't mentioned. The shoulders. They don't move. And that is this set's major downfall. It's mostly because of the gear function. You twist them back and forth, the arms go back and forth. Even though with him, he doesn't really have a weapon to swing. He has a gun. Now, most people who go over the Toa Metru kind of gloss over that. Like, oh yeah, he doesn't have any shoulder articulation. Not that much of a big deal. But, kind of is. Listen, this might be a bit of a controversial statement, but shoulder articulation is the most, in my opinion, the most important joint to have on any toy, especially a highly articulated one. And the fact that it's absent is really bad. And the fact that the articulation is such a step up compared to the last couple of figures just makes that more annoying, because it's like, oh, I can move the legs as much as I want, but not the arms. I mean, technically you can move it, but you have to separate one of the arms, put it back, but it doesn't really hold itself. It's just kind of annoying. Let me just Let me just put it like this. Having a figure with tons of amazing articulation, but not having anything in the shoulders is like going to a hospital and having amazing service. They actually have an all-you-can-eat buffet in there, although, considering the fact that this is a hospital, maybe not the best thing, but ignore that. It's besides the point. It has all this great stuff. The best service you could possibly have, the best experience, but it doesn't have a working television. And with my experience at working at hospitals, that's not good. Like, at all. That's like the one thing that I know we take it for granted, but when it's gone, it's very, very evident. Now, granted, yes, there are certain fixes to this. There's one where you can have like this weird section where you attach a ball joint, and I'm probably gonna do that once I figure out how to buy it on Bricklink. But on its own, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, even head articulation, I'd say, is less important than shoulders. I mean, the original Toa didn't have head articulation, which was disappointing, but they still worked. They even had ball joints at the shoulders, which technically didn't move at the shoulders, but like you could still simulate it. It still worked. This is just... People say that the Toa Metru are the best that Bionicle has to offer in nearly perfect sets, but this is a major issue. It nearly kills the entire line for me. I know it's something that doesn't seem that much of a problem, but shoulder articulation really is that important. So, yeah, that is a major flaw with these sets. But you know what? If you look past that, yeah, they are pretty fucking cool, right? I'm just glad that the Titans, which are my favorite part of 2004, don't seem to have this issue. Probably going to get it in Hideki one day. That's probably my favorite Bionicle set. So you know what? I guess 2004 still is probably the best year. It still definitely had the best stories and almost the best Toa. Just not quite the actual best Toa.
You will. Have faith.
Not gay, homo. Stop. I'm not gay.
Nokama fucking sucks. I hate this toy. It's so bad. They just picked the worst blue that they could have possibly used. I mean, you compare this to Toa Gali, who looked so vibrant, and then you just have this. It's just ugly. Oh, and then there's the mask. The mask is see-through because, you know, Toa Gali had it. Let's give it to Nokama, but it just looks so out of place. Oh, and that mask design. Oh, by the way, that's what her head looks like and what all their heads look like without the mask. Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's ugly, like most maskless Toas. This just looks fucking stupid. It is so boring. It is so bland. This is why Toa Gali is my favorite of the original six, because I assumed that she had the bad mask, the Picari. But no, that's the black one. She actually had the coolest and most interesting mask. But, you know, because, oh, blue, they made her girl. Let's also make her the most boring. Ha 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 ha. Great introduction to Bionicle, you fuckers. It also points outwards. It's not as bad in the movie where she just straight up looks like the Green Goblin. But yeah, this is a pretty bad mask. Also, they tried to differentiate them by slightly changing the build. This one, they just made the neck really long, because usually they plug up here, but now it plugs in here. And they also raised the waist. Yeah, it just kind of makes her look unsettling. Just really not into this. And I know you can technically fix those last two, but again, I'm taking a look at how they officially are supposed to look. Also, these suck. Seriously, Toa Gali had these cool claws, and even the Toa Nuva, which I'm not a big fan of that toy, it had axes that she could use as flippers, and actual flippers on her hands. And then it's just, what is this? What is this? Oh, she can spin it like a shield. Woo! Oh, just, you know what? Let's actually look at the gear function. Because it's blue. It's a blue axle, not a black. Blue, so it just looks stupid.
I was like freaking Donkey Kong at a rave!
Yeah, this is easily one of my least favorite Bionicle ever made. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I dislike this more than Gali Mystica. Yeah, I said it.
What that shit say?
Huh?
You want to see something funny? Go boom splat. That just represents pretty much all of the humor in the 2004 movie, doesn't it?
Huh?
Toa Matau just looked like a fucking dumbass in the movie, but here he actually looks fairly cool. He's got a very featureless mask, but I like the green that they used. Maybe not as much as the one they used on Lua, but hey, they're trying to go for a darker color, and while I don't think on the main three it works that well, especially Nokama, Still doesn't look too bad. He also has wings that they can do that, so now you can pretend that he's flying. Now, of course, these can be used as swords, and while they do look a little bit awkward when plugged in correctly, they are fairly effective with the gear function. You know what? If you're going to sacrifice any shoulder articulation, at least you better look rad while doing it. And he does. That's pretty cool. Oh, also, he has red that goes for his eyes, because green-red is an objectively good color combination. And I guess to be fair to good old Nokama, because I forgot to mention this, hers is orange, because blue and oranges are separate. Although, when it's this kind of blue and orange, it doesn't look that good. Except for you. But since she has the light blue mask, that's fine. Why wasn't this just her main color? I don't know.
Always wanted one of these.
Here's Whenua. I don't know why his name is so similar to Onewa. But hey, you know what? It's just the Turaga. They're kind of dumb. And he's pretty effective. He actually has a mask that isn't bland as hell, and he's got some pretty cool weapons. So because of that, you know, he's fairly effective. Instead of making him a hunchback, they just made his waist not look like he's Paris Hilton. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think of all the group, he's still not one of my favorite of the six. It's strange. Black Toa usually sound like they'd be one of my favorites, but they generally never are. But you know what? He's still pretty good. The only thing is that these are supposed to, like, plug in together, and you have a piece that I don't have on me, but I still do have it. And you have to, like, get the arms, like, this in order to do it, and because of the gear function, it's kind of hard to do it without the adapter, but that's what it's supposed to be. But without it, it's like, okay, what is he doing? He's swinging by hitting you with the dull side. Why not just do this? Oh wait, I just answered my own question.
Follow the map, thinker.
Nuju is basically Kopaka, but cool. Now, unfortunately, I am missing a piece here because I let my younger brother play with these, and, well, he just disassembled them and reassembled them and never put them back. Which, I mean, he's fine. He's a kid. But, like, could you do that to your own stuff, please? So, yeah, I'm gonna have to get a replacement part for that on Bricklink. And it's unfortunate because, outside of Vakama, this is probably my favorite. He also has some pretty cool weapons here that you can use as shoes. Fucking Christ! Yeah, these actually have stress marks because they just don't want to remove from the hand, so keep that in mind. This isn't something that's fairly unique. I'm pretty sure that the Toa Nuva did this, at least a couple of times. I think even the white one did with Kopaka. But, you know, it's still nice, though it's kind of dumb that this is the only method of weapon storage. So, you know, there's that. Yeah, Nuju was always my favorite of the six as a kid, and I really wanted his set. In fact, when I did get the one and only Bionicle set that I actually had by myself as a kid, which was Thok, the white Paraka, I decided to call him nothing but Nuju because I thought Thok was a naughty word. That wasn't entirely the reason, I just really wanted to call him Nuju because I liked Nuju. Though I do have to say, his voice in the movie is just so fucking unfitting and bad.
That's amazing!
But yeah, as far as himself, I quite like him. Though it is unfortunate that he has the same exact body type that Nokama does. He's got the extended waist, which looks stupid. And also he's got the longer neck, but mostly because he's got a very tall mask. So I think it's fine. Yeah, I think he pulls it off a lot better than Nokama ever does. Nokama actually just kind of looks like Lisa from PT. Or maybe it's just because that's the only tall woman I can think of in existence.
Who call themselves
Sit down.
Don't tell us to sit down.
Last and almost least, we have Onewa. It's just Onewa's name spelled a little differently, so that's strike one. Strike two is that this guy was a massive tool in the movie. Not only was he an asshole and an unlikable one to pretty much everyone in the movie,
Why you gotta be such a bitch?
but he also killed off Nadiki. Really? It's actually funny because this is what I thought of when I thought of Brown Bionicle for the longest time. So I just had an aversion to Pohatu and thought he was also a bit of an asshole when he's considered to be the kind one. Oh. This guy made me racist against Brown Toa.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's pretty unfair because Pohatu, while he's not one of my favorite of the original 6, I'd still say the gap between him and Tahu or Lua is a lot smaller than between him and Onewa and Kopaka. And also, I don't really like Hyuki in the Anika, but I don't really like any of those. I actually think they're the worst of the Toa designs. But as far as the Mari, he's actually controversially my favorite. I just wish he was a little brown, yes, but you know what? He actually looks pretty cool. At least he doesn't shatter into a million pieces. Also, he just looked really stupid in the movies. He kind of had this weird haircut look going on. I know that's not what they're actually going for, but while it's not captured here, it still doesn't look that cool. It just, his face looks really far back into his mask, and it's just kind of a dumb design. He has some pickaxes, which are pretty cool. He also has blue for his eyes, because nothing objectively goes well with brown, because brown is all three of the main colors combined into one. But you know what? It's still pretty effective. And maybe I don't hate you so much, Onewa. Maybe you've made me turn the other cheek. No, you fucking haven't. And that's pretty much it for Bionicle Legends of Metru Nui, or basically the Toa of 2004. I've arranged them from my least favorite to my favorite. Nokama, Onewa, Matau, Whenua, Nuju, and Vakama. Overall, though, it sounds like I'm being negative toward this set, but I still really like it. It's just got some unfortunate, very, very unfortunate flaws that hold this back, and it kind of makes me worried. Is this really the best that Bionicle has to offer? And now that I think about it, yeah, pretty much every wave has their problems. The original Toa are really good looking, but they have very minor amount of articulation. The Toa Nuva are a little better, but their designs are also a little worse, so it's one step forward, one step back. The 2005 designs is basically the same toy over and over again, and it wasn't even a good toy to begin with. The Anika are pretty cool toys, but they just look stupid as hell. The Mari are also pretty cool, and they have a lot of form and function, but you might break some of them. Both the Fantoka and the Mystica are pretty shitty redesigns of the characters. 2009 is just completely different from what I expect with Bionicle, so again, they're kind of an outlier when it comes to Bionicle. And then there's the Bionicle Stars. So these might actually be the best, which worries me a little bit. I don't mean to be a downer, and you know what? Maybe the best of Bionicle aren't even supposed to be the Toa. They're supposed to be the Titans. They're supposed to be other things. Who knows? Maybe I'll review more. So in the end, I'm going to give the Bionicle Toa Metru, wait, I don't speak them. So yeah, my childhood encapsulated into just one image. Well, also Pokemon. And Transformers a little bit. Oh yeah, and Marvel Star Wars maybe. I also liked Rampage Till Destruction.
Supersonic!
I don't really have a place to put this, so I'm just putting it at the end. When I first got this set, I had this really schizophrenic idea of like a really weird 2000s Mario movie. This is basically if Bionicle Toa Metru never existed, but these designs still existed, and the original Mario movie never existed. And this was the Mario movie. This was Mario. This was Luigi. This was Princess Peach, and she dies, and then he takes her costume, and in the third movie, he gets the fan service Mario look. Yes, that's what that is. This is Bowser, where he's got a mask that can breathe fire and giant claws. He's just a guy in a suit, so he's just a slightly less offensive Dennis Hopper. This is Lakitu, who's like the Koopas, and this is a Goomba. They're usually armless, weird drones, and then sometimes they have arms, and those are like the Super Goombas. And then the sequel, the surviving characters get instantly obliterated by Nadiki and Kreka, but they're not called Nadiki and Kreka, they're called Clawgrip and Wart. And there's also an Albatos who has Bob-ombs, except Bob-omb is Taraga Duma. And in at the end of the movie, somehow these guys, there's a couple of survivors, and they get one of the Bob-ombs to be possessed by the ghost of Bowser, because, spoiler alert, he died. And then he combines with Wart, who's dead by the end of the third movie, and that's the third movie, because the second movie is about Wart and Clawgrip. He gets Clawgrip, and he also gets the Albatos, and then Ultimate Dume is Bowser. So we went from like a guy in a suit to a full-on demon. And the reason he has brown shoes is because Goombas have, like, enhanced jumping ability, and he has Peach's blue suit mixed in with some of his because her legacy. Also, the brown, they turned into the Vaki, and those are Koopas. I don't know what sick, demented mind came up with that, but that is the worst and also the best fucking idea I think I've ever heard. Oh yeah, it was mine.